Well, everyone, it's time for the Christmas special. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac YouTube channel. I'm your host, MrEliMac, and today is Christmas. Yes, today is Christmas, and for this week's episode, I thought that since it is Christmas, I'd do a little special Christmas episode, a Christmas special, as you will. Just like all regular TV shows have their own Christmas specials, I'm doing one just for Pitch This for the YouTube channel because I just thought it'd be a fun idea to do a little Christmas special because I haven't done a Christmas episode and I thought it would be fun and perfect to do one, especially on Christmas. But before I get into the pitch, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. Now, for the Christmas special, I wanted to do something that I would very much enjoy and I would think that you would all enjoy. I decided that I would pitch a sequel to a very popular Christmas movie, or at least popular in my eyes, Christmas movie that I loved so much that I think a lot of people would enjoy. And so I am doing a pitch for a sequel to Violent Night. Yes, Violent Night, the Christmas movie that starred David Harbour as Santa Claus, a Santa Claus that was not adverse to getting his hands dirty and bloody. In fact, I very much love the original Violent Night film, and there are talks, and apparently according to David Harbour, they're currently writing a second Violent Night movie. But before they can even fully finish writing Violent Night 2, I want to give my ideas for what they could do for Violent Night 2. So for this film, I wanted to do something that they didn't do in the first one and something they were talking about doing for this one, and that is setting the film in the North Pole. For the first one, they very much set it in a house where Santa was stuck at and had to try to get him out of the house and save this family who aren't really fully believing in Christmas. But I wanted this one to be set on the North Pole because we haven't seen what the North Pole is like. We've just gotten allusions to Mrs. Claus, to the elves, to what the North Pole is like, and so I want to set this film on the North Pole. And I will be giving some casting suggestions because I think it would just be fun to do that. In fact, one of the casting suggestions I want to do for Mrs. Claus is Charlize Theron. The reason why is because all the people that are making Violent Night 2 have been considering Charlize Theron for Mrs. Claus, and I think that would be a great pick for Mrs. Claus. So Charlize Theron is my Mrs. Claus. And so for this movie, for a film like Violent Night, it's very much set around what is the action set pieces, what is the story that is going to cause Santa Claus to go through this action sort of adventure type for the film. And for the story that for Santa, it is Santa has been kept out or been brought out of the North Pole because of something that is happening on the perimeters, and he is going out with one of his elves and he is going out to try to find out what is happening. And what happens actually is that the North Pole gets invaded, the toy shop gets invaded by a bunch of Norse Viking type people, and they are led by someone named Jack Frund, who is sort of the leader, the former leader of the Viking clan before Santa Claus was the leader. Because so back in the olden days that was established in Violent Night, Santa Claus was known as Nicomund, and that was his original name, Nicomund the Red, and he realized the error of his ways, and that is how he became Saint Nick, aka Santa Claus, aka Kris Kringle. That is how he became that type of character. And for this one, I wanted to do a little bit more of the backstory for Nicomund and his clan, and in this film we're getting an idea of what he was like. And the main antagonist, Jack Frund, is very much the older brother of Nicomund, and I would have him be played by Nicolas Cage because I think it would be a lot of fun to see Nicolas Nicolas Cage in a movie like this as the main antagonist. And we would get the idea that Jack Frund is sort of the nicer of the two, or originally back in the time of the Viking era, he was the nicer of the two. He was the one that was the epitome of what Santa Claus is, and so he was the one that was teaching Nicomund the error of his ways, and that's what got Nicomund to do better instead of just being a violent Viking. And so he would be the one that would be very upset with Santa Claus and being like, no, because of you, I wasn't able to get these powers. I was supposed to get these powers. I should have gotten the powers of Santa Claus, but because you have them, I am going to wipe everything away. And he's been planning this for years. And another thing we would be doing for this film is revealing more of the backstory. I don't know if I said that already. If I did, I apologize for repeating myself. But this would be more of the backstory for Santa Claus and Nicomund, and seeing how he was like in the Viking era. And when we would see bits and pieces of his past, we would see Jack Friend truly being the ideal and being what it would be. You would look at him and be like, oh, that's Santa. That is what Santa is supposed to be. And we would get all that from Jack Friend, and we would get the time when Santa got his powers, because even he would say, oh, I don't know how I got my powers. I would reveal in this movie that it was from the gods, the Norse gods, specifically Odin, that bestowed Nicomund with the powers of immortality and with the powers of being Santa Claus. And the reason why it was Odin specifically is because whenever you look at old pictures of Father Christmas, a lot of the imagery looks like Odin, and a lot of the imagery of Odin very much resembles Father Christmas and Santa Claus, and that's why I wanted that specifically. And one of the powers that Nicomund got was that he was able to not only have immortality for himself, but he was able to grant immortality to others. And he granted immortality to his Viking clan, hoping that they would help him bring joy to the world. And Jack Friend, his brother, would be upset that he didn't get the amount of power that his brother got. And so with that, he would go off on his own, and a lot of the Viking clan would also be following him. The only person that wouldn't would be a woman known as Elan, who would be Mrs. Claus. Elan, who would later be known as, for general purposes, for people of the public, just known as Elaine. Why Elan? Because I just wanted to find a way to make it work with Elaine, so Elaine was the best thing that I thought of. But yeah, she's very much Mrs. Claus, and she was the one that stayed with Nicomund. And then as time went on, as they were trying to make this work just by themselves as the two, it was later revealed that through some sort of extra dimensional being, the elves started to come out, and they would tell Nicomund that, hey, we were sent here for a specific reason. We don't know how we got sent here. We don't know what exact reason it is, but we think it has to do with you. And so that is how Santa would get his elves, and that would be some of the backstory that would get revealed here. But throughout the entire film now, the actual set during the present day, it would be Santa fighting his way to get back to his wife, and it would be him going through so many different action set pieces. He would actually have Skull Crusher, I believe that was the name of his hammer, Skull Crusher, going through fighting different members of his former clan, finding his way back to his wife, back to the workshop. That's where Jeckfriend would be placed and housed with all the elves, and with Mrs. Claus is in the workshop. And ultimately we get to a point where it would be Mrs. Claus speaking with Jeckfriend about trying to find a way to resolve this peacefully, because we would also get a revelation that Mrs. Claus was previously betrothed to Jeckfriend, and we would reveal that the reason why she didn't stay with him is because she did not agree with Jeckfriend leaving his brother. And so that would be the big reveal, and that's why Jeckfriend is pretty much upset and forever mad with Nicomund, or Santa Claus. And then we'd get to a point in near the third act where we would get Santa Claus and Jeckfriend finally meeting with each other, and Santa is basically like, I don't want to fight you, you're my brother, I don't want to fight my brother. And Jeckfriend's like, I do not care. And they'd have this big fight scene. It would be face-to-face, toe-to-toe. It's Nick Cage versus David Harbour. And then ultimately Santa would win, but he wouldn't kill his brother, because he would very much fully continue to establish, you are my brother, I love you, I wouldn't be Santa Claus without you. You're the reason that I'm Santa. You're the one that taught me what it's like to be better than just a Viking. You taught me what it's like to actually be a good person, and I don't want to take you out of this world. And Jeckfriend would fully be like, yes, I understand. I'm still mad, but this is why I can finally see this is why you were given this power, because you were able to realize when to stop. I'm someone that even when we were back in the day, whenever we were fighting someone, when someone was down, I never knew when to stop. You knew when a foe was defeated. I didn't realize that, and that's why you were given this power. And Jackfriend would survive. He would be like, yes, brother, we are back together as brothers. But then that's when we would also reveal that one of the second in commands of the team, I don't know who would play him, but one of the second in commands to Jackfriend, who would be Kramus, he would be one of the people that's like, oh no, you are not a leader that we need. I am the leader. And then he would shift and transform into a horned beast, and he would be revealed to be Krampus. He would be the one that is fully taking the deal with the devil, very much the true main antagonist of the film, being like, no, we were going to kill Santa. Your plan was to kill Santa. We need to kill Santa because of all of the stuff he did that wronged us. And Jackfriend would be like, no, I am not going to kill my brother. And Krampus is basically like, okay, if you're not going to kill him, I will. And as Krampus is about to fight and kill Santa, Jackfriend steps in front and sacrifices himself. And Santa and Krampus have a big fight scene. Santa ultimately wins, killing Krampus, in quotes, killing. And we would see Santa go to Jackfriend, his brother, and say, brother, I'm sorry that you are gone. I'm sorry that you didn't have the powers that I believe you deserved. I wish that you would find a way to come back, to return to us. And that was when we'd start to see magic from the air, from the sky, return, and we would see the magic hit Jackfriend. His normal skin tone would turn like white as a sheet. His hair would become icy. His clothes would become a bit blue, and that's when we'd reveal that Jackfriend is actually Jack Frost. Jack Frost is the older brother to Santa, and also because I want it to be known, during some moments of the fight sequence between Jack Frost and Santa, Mrs. Claus would be going ham on some of the Viking clan members. She'd be going nuts. She'd be able to fight all of them easily, one hand tied behind her back. She'd have a spear, and she'd be taking everyone out. Yeah, I don't want it to make it seem like that Mrs. Claus is just a damsel in distress. She can handle herself in a fight too, because she's also a Viking. And yeah, that is my pitch for Violent Night 2, and if I had to give it a joke title, it would be Violent Night 2, The Night the Reindeer Died, which is in reference to the movie Scrooged. But yeah, that is my pitch for Violent Night 2. What were your thoughts on it? Again, this is a Christmas special, and I love Violent Night. I've wanted to do a Violent Night 2 pitch, and since it's Christmas, I thought what better time to do it than now. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the pitch? Do you want a Violent Night 2, and what do you want for Violent Night 2? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. Also, again, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. And until next time, I hope you all remember to have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy, Merry New Year.